Fighting has escalated in Sudan. We looked at that previously. Another conflict is brewing in the Amhara region in Ethiopia. Now, Ethiopia had been governed by a coalition government for many years, but in 2019, the current Prime Minister, Abiy Ahmed, collapsed that party and formed the Prosperity Party, or PP. But unity among different regional groups in that country has been elusive. Let's discuss. We're joined by Senior Research Fellow and Director at Africa-Asia Dialogues, or Afrasid. That's Thembisa Fakude. Thembisa, great pleasure to have you with us as always. The focus in Ethiopia previously on the Tigray region, where the government was fighting the Tigray People's Liberation Front, that's died down. Why are you now warning about tensions flaring in Amhara?
Well, tensions are flowing because last week we saw a violent protest in Amhara after Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed made an announcement that he intended integrating the Amhara forces into the police and the Ethiopian National Defense Force. And that has created problems in Amhara because they also agitating towards gaining more powers from the federal government and having the same status as what the Tigrayans have had over the years.
Can the two sides reach some sort of agreement, or are we going to see a repeat of another regional conflict? How will this end, do you believe?
Well, they vowed that they're not going to be integrated, and understandably so. They fought alongside the ENDF whilst they were trying to pacify the TPLF in Tigray. And the argument is that who's going to protect them now if they do give in their arms? One. Two is they were hoping for some sort of, reward for having assisted the National Defense Force in fighting the Tigrayans. And that is not happening because Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed wants to unify the whole of Ethiopia and get rid of regionalism, which has been the challenge for him as a Prime Minister. But of course, the Amharas are saying they want more independence. In other words, having their control of their forces, and they want to have, because they feel that the Tigrayan forces might just regroup and attack them, as it's been the case over the years. The Amharas have been complaining about the Tigrayan encroaching on their lands, etc. So that's their argument at the moment. But of course, we all know that Ethiopia, being Ethiopia, has got a lot of small little groupings, and it's divided along ethnic lines, and many of these ethnic groups want to have their own independence from the federal government.
And like you say, they want to protect their own security at least. Thanks for an explanation. You wrote an op-ed and you said that coalition politics kept Ethiopia relatively stable for quite a while. Then Ahmed came in, but you say that history, that coalition politics actually also paved the way for sectarianism, for the regionalism that we're seeing now. Just give us a bit of the history. Why?
Well, it was a political convenience, trying to keep some sort of peace and stability amongst the dominant tribes in Ethiopia, particularly the Oromo, Amharas, and the Tigrayans. So it worked for a while. But when Abiy Ahmed came in, he vowed to, one, fight corruption, and second, go against those who were accused of violation of basic human rights. And by and large, those that were accused were members of the TPLF, or the Tigrayan People's Liberation Front, who then moved to Mekelle, which is the capital city of Tigray, where they regrouped and they kind of started having their own governance or government away from the national government. And that created the problems that we saw from 2020 after they declared the election victory. And then you had the National Defense Force moving into Mekelle, and that war started from 2020 until 2022. We now know that there's a semblance of peace in Tigray. So other groupings, particularly the Amharas and the Oromos, felt also that they can take the advantage of the polarization of politics in Ethiopia by insisting on also getting some sort of powers, as it's been the case with the TPLF. But Abiy Ahmed, of course, he sees politics in a different way. He wants to unify Ethiopia, and he wants to get rid of the ethnic-based politics and regionalism.
And if he can't, I mean, if this explodes, obviously it's a setback for the ideal of silencing the guns on the continent. But in East Africa, there's also a lot of political and economic aspirations. Ethiopian Air, the country, I mean, a business leader in South Africa yesterday was saying that a lot of investment is going towards East Africa. But that could this be a setback for the country's economic ambitions as well?
Yes, it's going to be a setback, certainly. But we need to understand one thing, that when this coalition started, the TPLF or the Tigrayans benefited from the coalition. And the other groups were also waiting for their turn. For example, the Oromos, from which Prime Minister Abiy Ahmed comes, we're also hoping that with Abiy Ahmed ascending to power, it's going to be their turn also to sit on top of the food chain. Amhara is exactly the same situation. Now, with this new national organization, the Prosperity Party that was formed by Abiy Ahmed, it dashed all of those aspirations because what it says that no more regionalism, no more ethnic-based politics. Let us have proper national politics with proper political competition. And these groupings are saying it's not fair because all the years the Tigrayans have controlled government and they've benefited. And they were hoping, particularly the Amharas, that because they fought alongside the ENDF, which is the Ethiopian National Defense Force, they were also going to be given some sort of powers to self-govern.
All right, so another possible regional conflict brewing in Ethiopia. We'll watch that. Thank you for the great explanation. Thembisa Fakude is Senior Research Fellow and a Director at Africa-Asia Dialogues, or Afrasid.